And it looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another session for Amplifying F Sharp. I'm Jimmy Bird. I'm your host today, and we're going to be going over some FsDocs stuff. Before we get started, just kind of want to mention what Amplifying F Sharp is. We're an initiative to try to encourage hands-on collaboration with open source projects. And if you would like to get involved, you can click the come to amplifyingfsharp.io and click join us today. And we'll just ask for a little bit of information, just kind of like your name, where you're located, so we could schedule appropriately and what kind of topic you want to work on. And so if you have a specific issue in F Sharp ecosystem that you'd like to work on, we can figure out how to make that work. And then we'll get back to you on that. Also, you can also check all our previous sessions by going to our sessions page. We have almost a year's worth of sessions. We're about to come up on a year. We're about 11 months here. And so I don't know if we have anything planned for the year for, but we'll probably do something fun. And last week we had David give a session on the FSIH, which is the helper functions for the FSI interactive. Uh, so he was trying to get this into F Sharp core proper. And so you can check out that session. We don't have any updates from that, but we can see what it kind of takes to kind of get involved and do things a little bit inside the compiler. But today I'm going to be trying to implement some things into FsDocs. Um, so the thing that we're going to be working on is whenever like we use FsDocs, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. And, documentation is just always kind of like there's just so much things to do, so many things to do. But one of the things that I want to help with right now is about categorization. So if you have documentation that relates to many different things, it's kind of hard to see like which things relate to other things without always linking to those specific topics. And so, for instance, maybe in for example, the thing I was looking at is if I have a bunch of different articles in my docs page and I want them all to be related to computation expressions, I'd like to actually have some notion of saying like this article is related to computation expressions. And then let's generate a page that lists all the things that are related to computation expressions, or if they're related to tasks, or if they're related to whatever topic. Specifically for my like work projects, this is going to be kind of useful as well because we use FsDocs for our work documentation. But if we want to split it up by like domain categories or figuring out like this is a specific section that's related to like dealing with like uh like production problems, or maybe this is like specifically around how we do logging or things like that, it's good to kind of have like these are groupings, but not have to go through every single one of these articles and link to them. So the idea is to just generate a page. So one of the things that FsDocs already has now is the ability to use keywords. Let's see. I think it's in literate script. Let's see if our search works here. Um, Lots of different things in here for keywords. Creating content. That sounds right. So this recently got added to the FsDocs, such as keywords, and these keywords will actually get spat out as Google Docs meta tags. And I was thinking it might be useful just to reuse this as a way to also group these things. Um, don't know if that's necessarily the best case, but we're going to start with that as an apparent first go. So I already do have the code pulled up. Also, let me know if I need to make the font bigger or whatnot. I've already got the code pulled down. Let me actually create a uh, branch for this. So this is 99. So I did a little bit of work too to kind of see like where we'd want to actually inject some of our code. And so the FsDocs code base is not too large, but there is a lot of stuff going on in it. Um, the main thing is I was looking for like whenever you actually end up running the tool, you'll actually see this thing's writing out these files, and you want to go, okay, where is it actually like creating these files? And mostly it's creating them basically in this build command. And so there's a function in this build command called convert, which that will actually end up let's go ahead and build this. So we'll go ahead and create the files that we're looking for here. This all finally builds. We'll get some good, nice type checking. There we go. And so this is basically where I'm thinking we can kind of shim in our kind of code. What this convert function does is it takes in some information. It looks like the root input, some HTML template. And so when you're actually using FsDocs, you have a HTML template. So that's something that looks like, if we just kind of look at the template here, this is just a general template. So it's just your HTML file with a bunch of markers for us to replace pieces of information in. Some extra inputs. I think these are for specifying like these are extra places that we like to input and output. You can see that there's not a lot of domain types going on in here, so we're probably going to be figuring stuff out as we go, what these things actually mean. I kind of know on this one, I think this is input and this is output, but we'll see if I'm correct in that. And then what comes out of this convert function is this list of stuff. And you can see that there's a lot of stuff going on in here as well. And so this list takes an option or gives back an option of string, bool, and literate doc model. We'll find out what those mean, I guess. And then there's also a function that takes a param key and string to unit. So looking at this kind of code here, this also screams that we'd probably want to start thinking about some type of domain models. I don't know how much we'll actually end up running that kind of stuff here, but we're these kind of things every time we look at these, like when you're writing this code, right, you just see a string. Oh, I know what the string is, but like coming back to this code, it's always be like, I have no idea what this type information means, just because we don't actually have any good names for this stuff. So we'll see how it's used and see if we can actually make it better too. I do have a message in the chat. Let's see. This is a lot like Houston Hayes says, this is a lot like Hugo formatting, and I am here for it. Not familiar with Hugo. I've used, I don't know, whatever the GitHub one recommended one a long time ago. I used that for quite a while. And yeah, it's kind of similar. It's got similar vibes where you can do replacements on documentation. So one of the things that we're going to want to do here is to kind of I want to get us involved in kind of like a running loop, just kind of how this can kind of work. So the first thing I kind of want to do is actually just be able to like watch and run this constantly. Luckily, we have a build file, a build script file. This is actually using FunBuild. I'm not as familiar with FunBuild. I'm more familiar with Fake. But basically, what I want to do here is just create a command that's reusable that we can constantly run our docs tool. If we look through this build file, I don't think there's actually anything in here that does. So we do have a generate docs function, but this actually like packages our tool and installs it with the .NET tool commands. I don't necessarily want to do that for our loop, because we can just use .NET Run on a project file. So what I'm thinking is we probably want to start with just like a pipeline. I looking at these kind of things, I'm not exactly sure how these things work. I'm not familiar with FunBuild, so anyone that's more familiar, please step in if you know, but it looks like a pipeline is basically just like a bunch of stages that get run. And maybe there's some composability between how these kind of work. But I guess I'm going to want to create a pipeline. I'll call it like watch. I think I need to create a stage. I don't know, watch tool or something like that. Uh, Probably going to want to run our tool. So we're going to want to do whatever this run command is, .NET watch um, run project. Our project that we're going to be running here is actually under the source folder, and there's this FsDocs tool. And so the FsDocs, whenever you're making like a .NET tool, there's a specific, usually some type of executable with some extra information on it, like package tool. And this kind of stuff allows you to basically teach the .NET packaging that this is how you want to package a .NET executable inside of a NuGet package. So this is kind of like some information that you got to specify. But because it's just a console project, we can just run it. And so I'm going to copy the relative path to this. Maybe we'll actually make this a stupid. Oh man, am I going to run into problems with file paths on this? So Windows and Linux differences. We'll figure that out later. I'm on Windows, so hopefully I'll just deal with I'll deal with Windows stupid file paths for now. So this will actually start the .NET watch run on this particular project, which is here. And then let's see, what else do we need to actually, if we look at how we generate docs, this thing is running the build command, strict, clean, some extra properties. I think we could also do something similar where, so once you get past, if you're not familiar with how you do like passing extra arguments to a .NET process after you do like .NET Watch Run, you can use this double dash and then a space, and then you can pass along things. And so we could also run build, strict, and clean. The thing here is I know FsDocs supplies two commands like watch and build, so we're actually going to run watch here as well. So if we change the code, it should rebuild and rerun. And then if we actually change like documentation stuff, it'll actually watch the documentation and regenerate the documentation. So that should be kind of a neat little loop there. So let's go ahead and see if this does what I want to do. So we want to do like .NET FSI, look at that. Oh, pipeline watch is not found. It's because run only specified is not in your pipeline. All right. Cool. Nice little feedback there. Whoever maintains fun build, cool. Nice little feedback. I like that. Okay, so this allows us to run this project now. So we have .NET Watch starting. Hopefully this will do a fun, hopefully this will build. Not sure how well this will run, and it failed. So why did it fail? Because it could not find the docs folder under this particular project. So basically it's looking, so whatever FsDocs is running, it's looking for like an input folder of docs, and it's using some like relative path based on this. I think if you look at FsDocs, let's see, do I even have FsDocs built, or can I just do this? No. Where are the commands? Where are the CLI arguments for this thing? Options? No. Program, maybe? Watch command. Okay, let's go to the watch command. Okay, here are all the options. And this thing has inheritance fun. So we have a core build options. So there's a couple things in here that we can actually override that how that default like where it's looking for files. And so there's an input and an output. And so we'll probably have to use that as well. So for our input, we know I kind of want to run the same documentation, so we know it's here. So we do dash dash input. We don't know, we probably want to specify more like a path. And so, oh, look at that. We have a root path here and we have fake file system. So this will actually be nice. So we're just going to actually create a folder for here, which is going to be root and docs. And so this little operator is from fake, and this is just like combining two paths. Cute little thing. And I think we want one for output as well. Thank you, Copilot, for that suggestion. So the input's going to be the docs folder, and then the output is going to be our output. All right, let's see if that gives us a little bit more. See if that gives us something useful. And look at that. We are running. This will eventually pop up a browser for us, and ta-da! We actually are running the .NET, we're running the docs tool locally. Sweet. Now we can iterate. Um, I know people would want to use uh, .NET, or you probably want to use .NET Test in a lot of ways, but the way that this kind of works is I don't know all the test frameworks yet, and I kind of want to just do more proof of concept because this is just like taking a bunch of files and outputting a bunch of files. And I don't know if you've ever done unit testing regarding that, and that's just pain. It ends up being very painful. So I'd rather just see more like a full loop of what's going on here. And so, like I said before, the function here that matters the most is this convert. I should say method. This is a method in F#, different from a function. And so this method is the thing that returns a bunch of these things here. So let's go ahead and add our own stuff here. Who decided this formatting was good? Look at it, not yelling at us anymore. Okay, so the thing that we said before that we want to return, so we got to return this like this interesting type. So we have some like some doc model stuff, and that's some like string, some Boolean, and a literate doc model. Oh, thank you, Copilot. Again. Let's see how well Copilot did with this though. No assignment given to substitutions. Copilot was close. I don't know if that URI property is actually a thing. Let's see. What does... So FSI thought there was something else there. No assignment given for substitutions. Is that what this is? Then this is just something else as well. Why? Oh, is this formatting problems again? Oh, yay, indentation. Okay. So that's the things. It's supposed to be some of something. Okay, cool. So, why is that a string unit? What did I mess up there? And let's make some explicit type. That's it a unit of bool? Oh, it's because of, oh, look at that. Good. Nice type checking. This is why we use types, right? So this is just going to be, I don't know, true. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I don't know what these values are supposed to be yet. So we have this doc model stuff, which does some things. And then what's the second part? This is a function that takes a param key string into unit. Okay. So let's just think about what that actually is. And so been writing too many other code languages. Param is unused. Cool. So now if I just throw doc model stuff here and do thing, do I need to actually put a yield statement on here? Maybe I need to put a yield. Is it complaining about because it doesn't know what type this is supposed to be? So this is some list of things. That's how much. So what was this? This was param key and a string. Okay, what if I put below here? That was a very fun one to read. Wonder if I could line these up at some point, but we'll see. Go ahead and take this. This is what I end up doing for all you that hate the lineup of that. I do too. But we're gonna see like what is it not think these are compatible types? Aha, missing an option. Look at that. It'd be nice if there was a way to you know how there's like a lot of tests that look at different strings? It'd be nice to be like these are the differences between the strings. I don't know if we have much control over that like highlighting, but this would be a nice FSAC thing to kind of fix too. I don't know if we could. I know the stuff comes from the compiler, so I don't know if there's a I don't know how much work we'd have to do for that, but that would be kind of cool. I'm gonna write that down as a future thing to do. Um, okay. And so the thing that we're missing here is just basically wrapping this in a sum type. And voila. We've met the things. Okay, so now the problem is I have no idea what this actually is or what information I need to fill out here yet. So let's actually take a little time and spelunk into what process folder is doing. And so process folder, I'm guessing process is a folder. Um, looks like it tries to find templates based on different things here or different like if we're taking in a was this a Jupyter notebook file or an FSX markdown template. And then there's also these inputs. So this looks like get files for an input. So this looks like this gets all these files given like some like the docs folder. So it gets all these inputs and then looks through all these files and processes these files based on different input types or output types. So this creates a bunch of different files. So if we actually look at process file, because what we're going to want to do is create a HTML file, and I see these things have different output types, and I'm guessing we're going to want to look kind of what's going on in here. So let's go to the bottom and just see what it's returning, if that's actually doable. Oh, this is also a really big function. Okay, so there's a bunch of if-else stuff in here. Okay, so this kind of looks like what we just did here. We have this option, we have some input path, we have is other lang. I don't know what that means. And then we have our model, which has a bunch of information from this file and transform. So it looks like we do a lot of different file and transform kind of stuff. I'm guessing there's a bunch of these kind of taking a input file and creating some HTML from it. And then there's this function, which simple templating, and it takes substitutions. So if we kind of look at this, I can kind of guess that these are parameter keys. And so if you're familiar with how FsDocs works, there's a bunch of things on, like I mentioned in the template. So if we go back and look at the template, this template has a bunch of things like FsDocs page title and whatnot. So if we actually kind of look for that in here, this is a param key. Hooray for domain types. So I'm guessing based on the name of substitutions, this is like the last step. And there's also this print statement here. So I'm guessing this is like a last step in what's going on. And if we actually look at the output here, you can see that there's a bunch of writing. And so with this dash dash, this looks kind of like the last step to take a bunch of substitutions and actually output the file. So I'm guessing we're going to want to use something similar to this at the end here while we shim in our file. So let's open this up again. Let's see, true, comma. All right, doc model stuff. So this is an input file full path. Hopefully this doesn't matter too much because we don't really have an input file. We're going to be doing some in-memory stuff. So hopefully this won't matter too much. Is this another language? Um, I don't know if this was referring to human languages or programming languages. So I'm going to say true for now. Hopefully this doesn't matter. This model we'll kind of take a look and see if we need to what we need to put on this model. But then there's this printing part. So let's go ahead and I screwed up on, what was it? Insert tab moves focus. I do not want tab moves focus. Tabs are useful to make spaces. So let's go ahead and do kind of something similar here. It looks kind of like I want pretty much all this code. So let's see what we actually need to get here. So we need some type of input file path. So is this the same? This was the same file. So let's actually make this a thing then. Let's call it like keywords or something. Again, hopefully this doesn't matter too much. Then let's an output file relative to root. So where does that come from? What does this look like? So we get output names based on all kinds of other stuff here. So let's go ahead and just copy this then. So we have an output kind. So I guess let's refactor to make this the same. And then output folder relative to root. Where does this come from? This comes from the output file. Okay. Um, so if we actually look at the call hierarchy here, we can see this is going to be fun because how many parameters is this thing taking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 output relative to root. So this is coming from somewhere else inside here as well. So coming from the convert folder. So we, based on these input directories, we get some information. So we have extra inputs, which I don't know what these are. And then root is given, and an output directory is dot. So I'm going to guess this is the same thing here. I'm going to just do a quick refactor, use this. Don't know if this is going to screw things up, but we'll see. Okay. P, we'll just make this P. We have this model. So it's actually create model here, move this into its own thing. So now we have model and substitutions and a template. All right, so where are we going to get a template? Sorry about that. My headset died. Apparently, if I don't hear, apparently my headset doesn't care about input. It only cares about output. And so no one says anything to me for like 20 minutes. It just dies. Very fun. All right, similar. So this process file, we want to look at probably just grab the HTML template. I don't know if we have access to that here, but we'll find out. We do. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and save that. And we can see that our loop is running here, which is nice. What do we call our thing here? It's like keywords. So we got keywords here. Cool. So does that mean we actually have a file called keywords that got spit out? Hmm. Well, I guess we get to find the output path. Let's see. And let's stop processing all this other stuff. Let's just go ahead and process only our stuff. Still only dealing with keywords here, which is fun. Output file full path. What do we think output file full path is here? Maybe we should print that instead. Yeah, like where is it actually printing to? So I did put in a file called keywords. Let's see if that's actually a file here. Yeah, it does look like we generated something. So we need to somehow put HTML in the end here. Maybe if I just do this. Let's see if this writes out a keywords HTML file. It does. Ooh, look at that. We got some output. Hooray. Looks kind of gross because I don't know why yet, but maybe there's some templating. It looks like we are using the template, but I'm not sure about all the other. So we're not getting the theme and stuff correctly. Is this because we're not running the other files now? I wonder if that's the case. So if we put this back in, will this actually look like a page with, basically nothing useful on it? So we have that. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Looks like we got stuff here, but we are not getting, we don't get these replaced. So looks like we can deal with that kind of stuff later, but this is definitely something I'll have to clean up before we finish and understand why we're not getting certain replacements done. I would have thought that whatever code was running here would correctly do the substitutions. Maybe we're just not getting enough parameters. Maybe there's more parameters we actually need to set. Don't know what that's going to be yet. But at least kind of we're in a state where we can actually start putting stuff out onto a page. Hopefully. Thing is, how do we get stuff out on a page? I don't know yet. If we actually look at this literate doc model, I don't see like anything very obvious. Like there's this index text, but this is text for search index generation. Empty for notebooks and latex. I don't know. This seems not the thing that's putting out the information. What about some of these other things? So we have this title, which is probably just the literal title that gets put at the top here. Or maybe not. I don't know. Do you even see the word keywords on this page at all? I don't. I have no idea where that's used. Extracted from the document title, the H1 header. Okay. But I don't know how that's used. Index, I think this stuff matters depending on the category. So if the categories are kind of like these on the side, so this like documentation examples and advanced, like these are categories, and then there's like an index based on these categories for each one of these. That's category is some name, category index is the thing in that is active, used for the navigation section. So this is actually showing like is this is highlighted. So if we come over to command line, you can kind of hard to see, but this is a little bit bolder than the rest of these. So it's probably not the matter for us. The only thing that makes me think is substitutions because we end up substituting things. So let's go take a look and see where substitutions get set in our application. Um, a lot of stuff in here. Well, you know what? I'm gonna kind of cheat and go look at those param keys. So we know that if we go find all these parameter keys, let's kind of see what's in here. So we do have FsDocs content. That seems like maybe. So if we actually take a look at that, is there like an FsDocs content? There's FsDocs content, FsDocs tooltips, all kinds of stuff on here. So maybe if we use FsDocs content, we can put some stuff on the page. So let's look at param keys. FsDocs content. And let's say hello world. Let's see if this actually does anything. Because it looks like we might have some more substitutions we need to make for other stuff, but like I said, we can figure that stuff out later. We don't have to do that on the stream. Okay. It's going to keep opening pages. Let's refresh this. Hello world. Hooray. We can put stuff on a page now. We did it. Kind of. So the next thing, so now that we're at the point where we can just generate a garbage page with all this fun, lovely looking stuff, now we can actually put the content that we want on here. What were we doing? I forgot. Let's go look at our issue. So we kind of want to just basically generate kind of some header, some groupings. I don't really care how this manifests in terms of HTML, at least at this stage, but this is generally the categorization that I kind of want to look at doing. And so if these end up being like headers or UL lists or whatever, like that's kind of all I care about at this stage. We can play with styling and how it looks later. But the hard part is getting that information to begin with. So I will say that I think it's probably a good time to commit what we have, though. Let's go take a look. So we have a couple files. Oh, it's created these docs files here too. I don't. So it looks like we generate these files too. Hopefully this was just us screwing around and not that these files are going to keep coming back. So let's discard these files. We have our build stuff that we did. So let's go ahead and commit this. Um, local watch script, let's say. I don't know. Anyone else have any great creates pipeline for watching docs tool? And then our build command here, this is just a good keywords page. We'll say creates boilerplate for a keywords page. All right, so now that we have at least a good backdrop to come in here and play with committing, or we have stuff commits to, let's find out how to actually put the content that we want in here. So originally I said that I want stuff from these keywords. So we do have this front matter file array. Um, so these things parse front matter. Let's go take a look at like what comes out here. Parse from lines. Yeah, I want go. I want to look at this front matter file, so we get a file name, a category index, and stuff. But somehow we get tags. So I want to look for tags again. Find in front matter. What does this do? Interesting. So we have this front matter file, but we're also not necessarily using it to get the keywords. So I'm guessing I should just move this kind of parse code to that front matter file. So we get to do a little bit of shuffling before we get to what we actually want to see, I think. Because I don't really care about the output directly. We can play with styling. I just want to get through the hard part of getting the data, getting access to the data next. So this front matter file, we said, so this is kind of, let's put a bookmark here and we'll come back to this in a bit. Let's see what it's kind of parsing for. It's like keywords. So in here, how do we find the category? Okay, so these are a bunch of different matches. I guess I don't necessarily care if it's a sum or not. Do all files have to have categories? I guess this feels a little, not something I'm going to fix today, but feels like there's something kind of off with the model here from a conceptual point of view, from my standpoint. Like, do we always require a category index? Because I don't know why we would necessarily when it's optional here. So something's conceptually off, but that's not for us to fix. What I care about is map.tryfind keywords, and we'll see key values. Maybe this will be as easy as this. And then I don't really care about keywords. We may want to have an additional step here, though. All right, let's go ahead and just not care about matching on this. Let's just always grab it. And keywords is not used. Cool. And then let's throw keywords as an optional type here for the moment. Then close. I want this to be capital K. Okay. All right, let's see what we broke. Or did we actually break anything? Maybe we didn't break anything. Type checking says we didn't break anything. This is build running. Build's running. Okay, so the question is, did we actually get any keywords? So we want to go back to our build command. We have files with front matter with all this stuff in it. Let's create some type of like content. I don't really particularly care this at this moment, but I do want to. Okay, Copilot. Don't necessarily want to do that. I just want to say like, no, we got it. That's right. But we'll match on this keywords and we will just say if there's some keywords, we'll just output them directly. And if there's none, then we'll just do nothing. Keywords content, they list a string. We want to just do the most boring thing that we can imagine right now, which is just like string.concat. And we'll just concat all the keywords together for the moment. We'll think about parsing these keywords individually later. I just want to see that we can actually get all this stuff. The question is, will we actually get anything useful, right? That's going to be the next hard part. So did just throwing that together work? I don't know. We'll find out. Let's see. Talk about this. Let's run this. We didn't get anything. That doesn't necessarily mean, it just means our input source might not have had any keywords. So let's look and see if we have any keywords. Oh, sure files. I want to look at, let's just look at markdown files. So it doesn't look like we actually specify keywords in any of our files in our documentation. So FsDocs could also use its own front matter. Is there any front matter that I can really take advantage of? Literate. Yeah, we'll just say something like literate. What else do we want to just put in here? I don't know. And then let's see if this comes out. And if this works, then, oh, this is just updating. So this might not rerun our, did it rerun our keywords? It did rerun our keywords possibly. Look at that. Hooray. We got something. So that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. So then the next kind of thing there is just because I think we have access to the file name. The question is, will we have access in a way that we can create a link? So if we actually have two files in here, right? So if we have two things that run, we get a bunch of this stuff. So now there's two things we gotta think about, which is like just parsing these keywords, which I think something already kind of thinks about, which is just like looking at comma separated values. Hopefully we don't think about escaping. If anyone's putting commas in your keywords, please don't. um, and then the file name is figuring out like what the output path is for that. I think might be the next kind of challenge for that. Let's go back to our build command. So let's see if we can do the most bare minimum HTML. Do we have access to like a nice templating thing, or do we just have to write straight HTML? We probably just have to write straight HTML, I'm guessing. But if we do something like x dot file name, we yield that. Let's just yield a space. And if this gives us like a decent file name, maybe we can figure out how it's going to figure out where to put something. Question is, these create multiple of these files, so we'll probably have to extract some logic there eventually. But if we look at this file now, oh, so look at that. We probably need to do a filter mechanism on stuff that doesn't have keywords. But we do basically get the input related to what we put into those keywords. So this is a list or an array. Let's just make sure that we get the original thing. Guess I could write that just with a is sum or whatever, but whatever. That's what came to my mind. And then once this actually runs, let's see if this reduces our files count, and it does. So we do get access to the original file, but we don't get access to like where it's going to be output. So we're probably going to have to do some work on that front, but this at least looks pretty promising. Like we got pretty far in an hour, and this is about the hour mark. I don't want to go too much further in this because that part will be fun. I think that might be even worth doing slightly on a stream, but like styling and stuff, that no one needs to watch me try to pretend I know HTML. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or?
The so when you started running the formatting tool, can you take us maybe 5 minutes? What was the kind of the easy way to do that?
Oh, so when I just started running the tool in that watch mode.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's this build script, and I tend to like build scripts and putting reusable commands in build scripts. And so what I did is I created or this is fun build. So the idea is it creates a pipeline, and I'm guessing these pipelines create these stages. And so in this stage, all I'm doing is running .NET Rauch run on our FsDocs tool. This is just the project file that is like the executable that you end up downloading um, from NuGet. Uh, I don't feel like installing the tool every time,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to use .NET Run. And then there's just a bunch of different commands that we had to stick onto it to also teach it where like our input docs are, where it should output, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, this is really nice because you can test this locally without relying on the CI to tell you that something went wrong. You just run the build script and it will tell you exactly what was going on.
Yep.
Nice one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
this
definitely.
is there's always like, it's like what's the development loop, right? Like that's always what you want to think about in pretty much anything. And I didn't see this when I initially looked at the code, so maybe there is something here, but like if it's not very obviously reusable and it's just like, well, just run this command, it's like I have to think about writing this command every time. I don't want to think about writing the command. I just want to think about how do I run the application, right?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely
And
going
so
to.
that's something I always just think about is just getting into that loop, whatever that ends up being. If that's .NET Test or .NET Run, in our case, I want to just see the full thing.
Cool. Thank you, Jim.
I don't see any questions in YouTube, so must not be too many people watching over there. Anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up? No, one thing I need to mention I didn't mention at the beginning of the stream here is the uh, the F Sharp Essentials that Edgar and Ian, it's Ian, right? Not Ian, it's Ian, and Ronald are all helping contribute to, is going to be starting next week. So if you haven't, if you want to learn more about just how to do F Sharp in general, this is a fantastic way to learn. And it begins next week, and the email should be going out. That was what, 7 p.m. UK time?
Yes, so it will be 6:30 UK time next week on Wednesday, where we'll be having our first session. If you scroll down a little bit, you will see that there is the first lesson is about introduction and setup. So we will, make an introduction to the course. We will show you how to install .NET and set up your IDE environment like IONI, the VS Code, right? And yeah, hopefully we will be able to be ready to start teaching more F Sharp. And yeah, let's see how that looks. But yeah, please join us next week on Wednesday at 6:30 UK time.
Right. Well, I'd say did get pretty far within an hour, so I'm pretty happy with this results. Maybe we'll come back and do another session on this particular part where I try to move stuff around, but uh, yeah. All right. No one else has anything else they could bring up. Just want to mention again, if you would like to also be featured on Amplifying F Sharp, you can come to amplifyingfsharp.io and come to click on the Join Us page and fill out a form, some information about what topic you'd like to bring up, and we can go through and try to figure out what the issue is and how to help you contribute. All right, I'm going to end the stream. See you, everyone.